So before Studio One 7, so like I'm using version 6, there's no option for bus freeze. And so the workaround that I use is basically mixdown selection or ghost recording. And today I just noticed that the output files do not null with the bus output. So in the example I have here, some singing, not really singing, I call it noise, but there's 7 tracks feeding, 7 audio tracks here, and they're just feeding this bus. And there's just some EQ and compression, nothing crazy. I have send effects that I deactivated because I don't want them as part of the output file. And if I was to leave them on with mixdown selection, it's going to bake it in. I don't want it baked in. So I deactivated that. And we notice that on the mixdown selection file, the file that it output, if I flip the polarity as I did here, so it's not, you can hear that it's not nulling. And if I was to mute this, so this is the original output. I won't even play the rest of it, it's embarrassing. But it should null. And so one would argue that some of these plugins, they could be modeling hardware. Like, this is what I'm thinking. What are the reasons this might not be working? Might not be nulling, I should say. And one may argue that every time you press play, there's like analog emulation happening in here. So each time you press play, the virtual circuits, I don't know how this stuff's coded, but say, for example, like the bus compressor, perhaps it reacts a little bit differently every time, as if it's a real circuit with, slight variations, right? That would be like one explanation. But the thing is, if that was the case, when I did the ghost record method, so then I output the bus to a ghost output. My case, I call ghost 01, this guy here. And then I did a input ghost 01. And then I did a record. And I've already done it. I don't want to do it. I could, but just save time. So when I did that, and I flipped the polarity on the ghost output track. So if I solo this, it's the same thing, and it seems to be the cancellation that's happening seems to be like the same amount as with the mixdown selection. So I think that kind of rules out any kind of emulation excuse, like analog emulation excuse. I would think that this should null. And the thing is, the 2 output files, so whether I did mixdown selection, and just for reference, this is mixdown selection, right? You right click and then you get that option. And then the ghost recording, I explained how I did that. But the thing is, both of these methods with each other, it's a complete null. So, which means the output files are the same, which is a good thing. And they're nulling with each other, but they don't null with the original bus. And this is kind of concerning because the frequency content that is left over, it's significant. I feel it's significant enough that, so it's like, sounds like some high end basically. So a bit of lows, some highs, and it's it's like, I don't want to say it's a negligible amount, like it's a small amount, right? It's under minus 48 uh, decibels, but I feel that, you know, you stack tracks, and the thing is, I mix this quite low. I my main mix is kind of around -8 or -6 at peak. So -48. I mean, it's just, you know, all the tracks together. Now I'm like wondering, like I've already mixed down a bunch of files from before, so my original buses are not running, but now I'm wondering, like, if I was to compare this to some of the earlier tracks where I, like, previous to mixing them down or ghost recording them, I did them different ways, in just based on whatever I wanted to use. I didn't use all the same way. But the concern I have now is just that, there's something happening in the frequency spectrum that should not be happening, or I've not accounted for, or is a bug. So yeah, I don't know. I've had like enough frustrations. Like now I discovered this. I think at this point I'm just going to upgrade to Fender Pro Studio. I'll install it as a separate thing and find out whether that's a little more robust. I don't know if I upgrade to Pro 8, whether I'll get a copy of Pro 7. But, like, I mean, the other option is I just go to Reaper at this point, but I don't want to do it, like, mid-project. I'm almost done this project anyway, so, yeah, it's just very kind of frustrating and concerning that, like, why should Reaper be the baseline, or why should I have to use another DAW to have a benchmark? Because Studio One on version 6, I'm not going to say all Studio One versions, but at least on the version that's running on my computer, and like my computer's not anything weird. It's an Intel CPU. It's 8th gen Intel, Windows 10, which version 6 was built for. So yeah, it's just, it is what it is, and I'm pretty frustrated, but I just got to keep moving. So if anyone has any ideas from the forum or from Reddit, I would like any input. And just to confirm, the bus is going to main, sensor deactivated. I don't think I have any. There's nothing special. Some EQ, a de-esser, a bus compressor. Nothing on the output files at all. They're going straight to main. So, and nothing on my main. Now I put the spectrometer, but prior to that, there's this Real Phones plugin. I also did the test without Real Phones inserted, just because you never know, there could be some weird issues. But yeah, so thanks.